guys, here's another quick tip for you. In this scenario, I made it up to wherever I'm building my anchor, and I put in 3 good cams right here. But when I looked at my harness, I realized I didn't have any of my usual anchor materials, no super long slings, no cordelettes or whatever. And so here's a way how you can equalize some cams together with using a series of slings, what we kind of refer to as building an anchor on a series. So first thing I can do is I can identify what my strongest piece is. In this case, all these pieces are pretty good, but this point or red alien cam is my biggest one. And then I have a blue and a yellow alien, so those are kind of a bit of a smaller sort of deal. So I can put this cam on its own and these two can be linked together. I can choose whatever sort of anchor material or slings I happen to have on me. In this case, I have a single length sling, and I already pre-moved this carabiner up just for the sake of keeping all the pieces close together, but I can clip my alpine draw to these 2 points right here. And then with this anchor, I can either Magic X them, and I'm personally okay with that amount of extension with the Magic X, or I could always tie an overhand knot, or I could clove hitch. You could use the girth hitch anchor or whatever. And so now off of these 2 pieces, I have a pretty redundant piece of material. And then this carabiner is kind of the master point with that. With this cam, I can either have my carabiner down lower, so these are kind of equal, or I can put it up higher if I want. I can grab another sling type material, either a single length sling would totally fit here. I could also use a double length sling, clip it into these 2 carabiners, and just equalize this like I normally would. And now I've roughly equalized all 3 of my pieces together. I did use a locker here. That was a specific choice because that's kind of holding 2 cams together. That's kind of a more critical leg, so I can, if I use a locker, it gives me a little bit more security. And then my 1 cam right here. Thing to remember is sort of the distribution of pull. I have my master point going into 2 legs of this part of it, and so that's kind of roughly putting 50% of the load on this red cam and 50% on this other leg, which is then divided up into 50-50 on either of these cams. So it's roughly 25, 50% of the load being distributed among the cams, which is why I want this leg to be kind of my most bomber cam, or the one I have the most trust in. I find myself every now and again at the top of the anchor with all my slingage on the people below. I actually forget that quite often. And so this is just another way how you can divvy up the load between all your pieces. So here's another quick example of another possibility I could build with this specific anchor. If I take it apart real fast, what I did is I put an overhand knot in this sling right here. So I made what some people call a swamp anchor, and I can clip both legs of that to have these 2 pieces redundant. And then just by the height of the sling on this cam, we can even take the carabiner away and make it more obvious. I can actually clip that sling into the carabiner as well. Now, some things to keep in mind. So I have pretty good equalization. If I pull down like this, all the cams are being pulled on roughly equal. Some things to keep in mind. This isn't really an issue with this anchor. If my red piece was more out in this orientation, then I'm moving more towards a tri-loading of my locker right here, which it still is pretty decently strong in this tri-loaded orientation, but you do want to keep that in mind with your gear limitations. When the cam, I can even move the cam around. When the cam is more in line with one of the legs of the anchor, that's a little bit less of a thing to worry about. But this is just slightly more gear efficient because I get to save myself a locker and a double length sling, and it's a bit cleaner. My master point isn't down as low, so I can more easily belay my partners off this anchor or off this carabiner. So it's just another way, another possibility for you. Belaying. There's Corey. Hey Corey. Oh, woo! Hi. So I'm at Mount Shuxon via the Queen Sabe. Out there is Forbidden. There's Eldo. It's really hard to see, but Baker's right behind it. a whole bunch of clouds in the valley.